Paul Pierce seemed to be having a great time on Friday. He was on his Instagram Live, and he seemed to have a couple of the homies with him and a couple of strippers with him, and Paul Pierce was celebrating. I mean, this is a Boston Celtic legend. He was out in the West Coast where he has his home at. Come on now, Pierce was living it up. And by the way, this is exactly what I thought Paul Pierce was doing in his life post-basketball. The only problem with Paul Pierce going on IG Live, celebrating with the strippers and all that, was he's an employee of ESPN. And I worked at ESPN for a few months. If you don't know anything else about ESPN, trust and believe, when you walk into their building, it is clear as day who's the real owner, and that's Walt Disney. All right, that is the most kid-friendly network there is. A lot of people forget that ESPN is under that Walt Disney umbrella. And as soon as I saw Paul Pierce's Instagram Live, I told my friends, well, it won't be long now. He will be getting a call sooner rather than later that ESPN no longer wants to do business with him. Paul had been a full-time employee with ESPN since 2017. He was on a couple of different shows like The Jump. He was on a couple of different countdown shows as well. ESPN has agreed to part ways with Paul Pierce. Now, Pierce has shrugged it off, and he's pretty much said that better things are on the way.
Yo, just want to thank all my supporters. Want to thank my haters and everything. Look, but check it out. Bigger and better things coming, baby. Don't worry about it. You fall twice, you get up 3 times. You know, just always remember to smile, baby.
I'm not so sure about that. I guess only time will tell. When I look at Paul Pierce, the personality, he wasn't the best on camera. He really didn't make a lot of points when he spoke. And he wasn't as controversial or polarizing as what TNT's got over there with Chuck, Kenny, Shaq, and Ernie. So when all things considered, I knew ESPN would be comfortable walking away from Paul Pierce. Let's be clear. If you don't remember, after Jalen Rose retired, he had a couple of issues. I mean, Jalen Rose had a couple of DUIs, if I'm not mistaken. But ESPN rolled it out with Jalen Rose. You want to know why? Jalen Rose is pretty darn good at his job. Whatever his shtick is, he's pretty darn good at it. Paul Pierce, in the social media era, seemingly on IG Live intentionally. A lot of people thought that Paul Pierce accidentally went on IG Live. There's no such thing as going on live in like a closed friend segment. It's different from if he was posting to his story. This was something Paul Pierce knew what he was doing. No matter how high or drunk he maybe was, he knew what he was doing. He knew there could be ramifications of it, and seemingly he didn't care. Now, I don't know if Paul Pierce had already kind of been tired of his role at ESPN. The timing of it is interesting at best. Like if Pierce does have another job lined up, you'd think he'd want to fulfill his contract or fulfill his obligations to the end of the season, which the NBA still got like 3 or 4 months left in the season that we're in right now. You'd think he'd want to play that thing out and finish the season. Maybe he had something else lined up already. Maybe he was unhappy at ESPN. I guess only time will tell. To me, this comes down to this. Paul Pierce went on social media, made a mistake, and then opted to tweet out good morning jokingly the next day. I knew ESPN was going to let him go. And then when you also throw in the mix that Paul Pierce wasn't the best personality on camera, ESPN, if they're going to stand out on that ledge at this point with the company, they're going to do that for Stephen A. Smith for sure. Maybe a couple other top-tier employees, a couple of other on-camera anchors, maybe. You get up maybe the Scott Van Pelts of the world, they'll ride it out with him, Neil Everest, Stan Verrett. You got to be higher up in that company and probably under the age of 55 for them to do that, go there with you. Or maybe a reporter like Woj or Adam Schefter. If you're not there with that company, no one's above that. And when you're below average at your position, which is what I believe Paul Pierce to be, especially with ESPN, in my opinion, needing to pivot in a different direction with personalities. ESPN, obviously, they got the big TV deals with the NBA, Monday Night Football. They don't have the big-time personalities anymore. That's my honest opinion. Fox has that. Now, I don't necessarily love Fox's personalities either because they go for the clicks. But ESPN has lost the dynamic of clicks and to me, just entertainment and great sports dialogue. I don't think they're great at anything right now in regards to their debaters. They got great reporters, but I don't think they're great at anything from that morning show perspective. I don't think you need a Paul Pierce. You can go in different directions. You can pretty much get whatever you had in Paul Pierce with Kendrick Perkins, who I'm sure will be the next man up. And I think ESPN should wait it out a year or two and find a personality. You don't have to be Charles Barkley. That's obviously a one of one. You don't have to be Shaquille O'Neal. That's obviously a one of one as well. But I do think ESPN should take their time finding someone that can bring an audience, get people to watch, and you're not going to do what NBA on TNT does at night. That's not what you want to do. You can't do that under Disney, but you need something better than Paul Pierce. And I think all things considered, that's why Paul Pierce was let go of ESPN. Catch full new episodes of FERRO's music-based platform every day only on YouTube at It's Mr. Taliaferro. You can also find clips, updates, giveaways, and more on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, also at It's Mr. Taliaferro. For all basketball fans, make sure you tune in to FERRO's daily highlights, reports, and commentary on YouTube at Hoops FERRO, and even more updates on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hoops FERRO as well.